Hi guys, and welcome back to Riley's on the Road.
We spent most of the summer in Cheyenne, Wyoming, with a few side trips.
Let's see what we did.
When we left Virginia, Melina went with Papa and Tutu to Santa Rosa, and Ashlyn went on a trip with her Girl Scout troop, so we had some more space in the back. Dad dropped Mom and us off at Granddad and Mimi's in Kansas and went all the way back to Wyoming by himself.
Granddad and Mimi had some beautiful sunset and playful kittens. We finished some kiwi crafts while we were there.
When we went to Williamsburg, I'm so grateful my cousin took care of Prince for me. When my dad was back in Cheyenne, he went and picked him up. The weeds got very tall while we were gone, so he had a blast eating them and running around.
We went to the exploration place in Wichita. It was cool. There was a DC superhero exhibit there and lots of different rooms.
One day, Aunt Pam took us to Tanganyika Zoo. We got to feed lorikeets, pet kangaroos, feed turtles, guinea pigs, goats, alpacas, lemurs, and giraffe. My favorite were the kangaroos. The next day, we helped Mimi plant some seeds and went to a minor league baseball game to watch the Wind Surge play.
On our way back to Wyoming, we went out to lunch at Runza, a Nebraska staple.
After Virginia, I flew back to Northern California with my grandparents to stay with them for 3 weeks. I spent the time hanging out with family, adoring my cat who lives with them, making blankets for donation, and relaxing. I got back to Wyoming on the second week of July.
While my family was in Kansas and Wyoming, I was on my Girl Scout trip. It was 10 days to Washington, D.C., Philly, and New York, and I had an awesome time. I'm so glad I got to go. It was an amazing experience. My dad picked me up from the airport after my trip, and it was just him, Grandma, and me for a couple days. My dad and I pounded some nails into the picnic table, and I mowed the lawn. I mowed a lot while we were here, including the 2-mile path into the field. Then Mom, Brietta, and Gemma came back. For 4th of July, we went to brunch with family. Then that night, we went to Jason's fireworks show. We set fireworks off at the shop and had hamburgers.
There was this insane lightning storm one evening. Even my grandma, who has lived there 30 years, had never seen anything like it. It was about 50 miles away, but so huge. We got a spectacular show. There was a prairie fire 3 miles down from my grandma's house. It got to be 1 mile long before it was stopped. But the prairie renewed itself only a few weeks later.
Down the road a little was a Mennonite farm store, and we got a bunch of delicious food a couple times while we were here. My mom, little sisters, and I went down to Nebraska with my Aunt Christy to help out and see family. We went to Pizza Ranch to see Uncle Barry and Jolynn and spent lots of time with the Niceleys. We also went to a huge, very nice pool with tons of slides. My mom and sisters headed back to Cheyenne after a few days, and Aunt Christy and I babysat Carter and Creed while their parents were out of town. It was awesome.
My grandma owns 260 acres of farmland that a farmer rents and plants. This year's crop was organic winter wheat. It was harvested while we were there.
Pretty cool.
One weekend, my Uncle Billy and my dad's Uncle Terry came for a visit, and we got to shoot my uncle's new competition pistol and my dad's pistol out in the field.
Cheyenne Frontier Days is the world's biggest outdoor rodeo. We got to go with our friends Esri and Zarek, whom we met a few months before. There is a rodeo every day for 2 weeks leading up to the finals, with all different kinds of Western sports. They also have a fair with a bunch of different rides that we had a ton of fun on. Concerts, showings, booths, parades, and many more make Frontier Days more than a rodeo and a big deal for Cheyenne. There was a little family get-together at our Uncle John and Aunt Jackie's house to celebrate my grandma, Aunt Christie's, and cousin Jacob's birthdays because they're all close together.
We went up to our Aunt Christie's cabin one week and had an amazing time as we usually do. We played games, went out in the ranger, picked wildflowers, watched shows, and one day we drove down to a nice area by the river.
We got invited to Tabanaki for our cousin Daniel and Jason's birthdays. It was so good.
A couple days before we left, Brietta, Grandma, and I played Monopoly.
The sunsets and sunrises in Cheyenne are absolutely stunning. I love to go out and watch them.
We mowed one more time before we left, and Gemma learned how to and helped a lot.
We put a bunch of stickers on the back of the RV, including Black Canyon of the Gunnison, Churchill Downs, Louisville Slugger Factory, whitewater rafting in New River Gorge, Monticello, 2 from the Spy Museum, including Beware of Female Spies, and Cheyenne Frontier Days.
Wow, this sure looks like we did a lot of eating out. The video actually covers 8 weeks total, as Cheyenne was our home base this summer in between road trips. During that time period, we went out to celebrate Grandma's birthday, our 20th anniversary, and a farewell dinner. This was what I am calling our summer of service. While we stayed with family members, we were able to help with house and yard work, along with all of the fun outings. The girls especially were good helpers.
We spent lots of time with family.
See you next time on Riley's on the Road. Bye!